Welcome everyone to the show, Combustible Elements, real talk for real people. Here we try to put different ideas and perspectives together in a pot, heat it up, and get an explosion of knowledge and understanding. We understand that problems can only be fixed starting from the bottom to the top, building a great foundation for change and improvement. I'm Big Mel, and I'm joined by Ruben, aka the Monarch, and Aaron, the Hitman. Let's get started. Hey, thank you once again for joining us for Combustible Elements. I'm Big Mel. I'm joined by Aaron the Hitman and Ruben the Monarch. Once again, we're going to try to bring you a different topic. But before we go into that, I'm going to ask you again, like the video, subscribe, share it. If you like what you hear, and pass it on so we can get more stuff to talk about, more people. You know, in the words of these immortal rappers, we out here. So we looking to talk, we looking to understand what's going on. We don't know everything, but we always say you got to fix a problem from the bottom to the top, and you got to know a problem's there. We have a technical difficulties with the monarch, but he's here too. Um, we're going to talk about economics. Economics and dealing with the difference between socialism and no racism and classism in economics. So this tells you right now, this is Ruben's brainchild, you know, uh, finances, because he's all on top of it. So we're going to try to understand the differences, what's going on in society, and how we're going to deal with it. Before I let the monarch go into it, I'm going to give you what I think. Excuse me, because I just started talking. So might as well keep it rolling. When you say racism and classism has always been a part of our world. It's always going to be a part of our world. You have rich, middle, poor. Um, for one group to be on the top, there has to be several people on the bottom. That's just how things go. Somebody's got to be on the bottom. Um, we try to educate you because we don't want you to be on the bottom. Now, the way this country was built with racism being in the backdrop of finances and slavery, so you have the classism coming in play with the slavery issue and with the racism issue. And the classism led to more economics as far as like more gathering of money. If I'm understanding this, Ruben is going to correct me when he comes in. I also feel like America is shifting. It's all about who has the money as opposed to what group does it, if that makes sense. Yes, some groups are still being stripped of things because the way we are structured and we do things, some groups are being stripped of things, but we also understand that everybody can't be a business owner. Everybody can't, own a corporation. Everybody can't come up with a bright idea, make millions. We try to talk to you, empower you to make those decisions, but the truth of the matter is everybody can't do it. It's always going to have to be a worker. Like if everybody's a business owner, there's no worker, it's no money. Nobody's using utilizing those businesses. But I think the main point that I wanted to make is instead of black, white, brown, the main point of America in this country is shifting towards green. You either got it or you don't. And a lot of the decisions that are made socially, politically, in different classes are going to be money decisions, and it's going to be made by the people that have the most money and the people that they deal with that are making money that affects them. So, Aaron, what do you have to say about this? And then we'll go to the monarch and let him correct us because I have a feeling that's coming even without his picture on the screen.
I mean, well, like you said, it's always been classes from dating back from time. So in the United States, in the U.S., it's five different classes: is upper middle, middle, working, and lower class. And as far as classes go, classism and racism, I don't feel like that they correlate. And other people, other scholars, one in particular, his name is Thomas Sowell, doesn't feel like that they correlate with each other as far when it comes to economic status and things like that. He also says that he feels like at some point in time, everybody starts out poor, and then you build wealth, you gain wealth, and you gain wealth through work, skills, and savings. So at some point in time, if you're the lower class, you're going to become the working class, and if you're the working class, you're going to become the middle class, and so forth. So at some point in time, everybody in their lifetime will or can become the upper class. It's just, do you sustain it? Do you know how to sustain being in the upper class? So if you happen to sell your car or come into, or sell your house or come into like an inheritance, and you gain a certain amount of money, because the upper class in the United States of America, you have to have 300,000 or up within an annual year. So if you ever had 300,000 or up, that automatically classifies you as the upper class in the United States. Do you know
Okay.
how to hold on to that money and build from there, or do you squander it away? So that's as far as classes. Like, we can't change our race, so, but racism doesn't stop you from gaining wealth. It doesn't stop you from going from one class to another. If you happen to acquire what people quote unquote say like these dollar homes, if you go into the middle of North Philly and bid on homes that are vacant and remodel them, if you had the skills to remodel them, like my dad had a carpet company or has a carpet company. So if I'm rebuilding a house, I'm getting him to help put the carpet in the house. He has connections with people that know how to do roofing. He has connections with people that know how to do plumbing. So again, I could buy one of those houses very cheap if I'm lower class or working class. Get one of those houses very cheap. Help my family will help me do the labor, and we can flip that house. That will probably give me close to $100,000 that year, which will put me in the upper class or upper middle class. And then, do I know how to sustain that money? Do I know how to sustain that and spread that across feeding my family and paying off the people that help me pay for that? um is the real question. Like, do we know how to stay in, do we have a mindset to stay in lower class or working class, or do we have a mindset to raise our class and then stay in that class? Because racism, for me, my opinion, doesn't stop you from changing what class you're in. Your mindset and your work ethic and things of that matter changes what class you may be in.
Okay. So before we go to Ruben, that may be the real question. But now, see, I have some questions before we let you go to Ruben. So my first question is, can you name the different classes, the five different classes again?
The five different classes is the upper class, the upper middle class, the working class, and the lower class.
Okay. So, and you're saying that this particular person's theory is everybody exists in each one of these classes at some point in their life.
Yeah.
I'm going to disagree with that. And I'm going to disagree with that is we talk about all the time leaving generational wealth. It's a mindset. When we say what we want to leave towards our kids, we work hard, we're building so they don't have to do the stuff that we have to do. We're willing to take the hit that we don't want them to have to take the hit. So if they don't take that hit and we build something that's sustainable, wouldn't they automatically be in the upper class? Like if we, I think you said annually in the United States right now, 300,000 a year is considered the upper class.
Right.
I think that's what you said. So, so say Ruben passes away and leaves his kids $350,000 a piece, a business or two. Each one has a particular business to run. They not hands on. We talked about that too. Ruben said it. I believe he said if his kids are smart enough to know that they can't run that business, so they hire somebody to run the business so they can sit back and make that money, he's okay with that. So now they're making that income, they're making that money, but they're not doing nothing for it. They can't be considered the lower class because they never were. They couldn't be considered the working class because they never were. I think you said the middle class and the upper middle class. Okay, if they making over 300,000 a year because Ruben built something before they even had to work, then they're in the upper class and they ain't in any of them other classes.
What you mean? So
So
when they born, technically, I mean, if you want to be technical about it, they don't have any money when they're born. The money is Ruben's. Ruben has to give them the money. So when they're born, they don't have any. So you're automatically born in a lower class.
I was
no,
gonna have
you're
people
not going
thinking
to.
that Ruben got a lot of money.
You may be
Yeah,
born into a family that's in the upper class, but you don't have the money. You don't have the money now. You
no,
don't
you're not backdooring out of this one. No,
you don't have responsibility. If you don't have responsibility for the money, you can't say that you're in the upper class. You don't have responsibility for the money yet. At the
but you're
point
not living. You're not living like you in a lower class. If you're not living like you're in the lower class, you're in a different class. When they sit down there and come up with these classes and upper middle, they talking about how you living, not what's in your pocket
no, they're
at
not.
the
They
time.
talk
It's how
about
you
income.
living.
They're talking about income. They're not talking about how you're living, because the lower class is 32,000 annually and lower. It's people that make $32,000 and look like that they making $300,000. It's people that's making $300,000 and look like they living like they making $32,000.
Well,
Looking and living in two different things, though.
But
right.
that's what
So
I'm saying. Like,
we're gonna agree to disagree on this right now, so I can come back and cut you at the knees. But we're gonna hear what Ruben has to say about this topic, because he's been waiting. So we're gonna let Ruben talk.
I mean, I think overall, the 5 classes I definitely agree with. The only part I feel like I'm not gonna agree with is when you mentioned working hard. Working hard has nothing to do with what class you're in. Like, it's a lot of people that work hard. There's a misconception that just because you're poor, that means you didn't work hard. Some of the poorest people in our society throughout the world are some of the hardest workers. And they don't necessarily have the means to show for it. Like, it's videos that show people, from different civilizations, or even 20, 40, 20, 30, 40 years ago, working extremely hard, 10-hour days, 11-hour days, 12-hour days, and barely making enough to even eat. So it's not, them not having, enough money and enough resources. Isn't a matter of, okay, this person wasn't working hard. And the same way, for a lot of people with a lot of wealth, doesn't necessarily mean that they worked hard. It could have just been passed down, or they could have stole, killed, raped, and robbed for it also. So not necessarily meaning that like everyone that has wealth, killed, raped, and robbed for it, but the same way everyone that has wealth didn't necessarily do it, getting in a malicious way. People that don't have it doesn't necessarily mean that they didn't work hard or they're not working hard. So that's the first thing. Second thing, my reason was for bringing up this topic was more so because I feel like in America we really focus on racism, and it does exist. It exists at an extremely high rate. It exists in some of the most inconspicuous ways, and it exists outwardly. All depending on which part of the state, which part of the country that you're living in. But when you get outside of America, what you realize, and if you've lived outside of America, what you come in contact with, it becomes more the classism, less of the racism. Because what happens is, if you live somewhere where everybody looks like you, then it's no longer about, okay, this person is not treating you fairly, or they're treating you unfairly because of how you look. It's more so because it becomes more of a class thing, and it becomes more of a economics, and where you stand as far as society. Like here, everyone, you might have somebody that's white, you might have somebody that's black, you might have somebody that's Indian, you might have somebody that's Spanish, then you could, and it's also the class here, but it can get misconstrued, or it can get, medley, and it starts being separated by color of skin. Whereas, you got people in Africa, or you got people in Haiti, or you got people in Colombia, you got people in different places where, like, all right, everybody looks alike now, but people still get treated basically the same way that they would be treated if they were in America, where everybody don't necessarily look alike. And that's because it's not a race thing anymore. It's really about the class and the amount of money that you make, and where you stand at in society. Like, it's different. It's a lot of places in this country, not this country. There's a lot of places in this world where, like, if you're born in the lower class, chances are you're gonna die in the lower class. And it doesn't mean you didn't work hard. It doesn't mean you're not trying to get out. It doesn't mean you're not doing everything you can. But, like, the opportunity is just not there for you to get out of there. That's why a lot of people come to a place like America, because it's like, yo, if I'm, this is a place where if I come and I work hard and I do what I'm supposed to do, then chances are I can make it. I can do something. Whereas, like, where they're from, where they were born at, where they know, where they live. It's not the case. You know what I mean? If you grew up, your father's a fisherman, so you're gonna be a fisherman. That's who you are. That's what you do. You grew up, your father as a mason, you're gonna be a mason. That's what you are. That's what you do. You know, like that's like there's no chance of you shifting gear or shifting career and shifting and trying to do something else, because that's no, that's not how it works. That's not how, you know, society is gonna treat you. You know, like your mother's a maid. Chances are, you know, you're the daughter. Unless you got the means while she's a maid for her to send you to school for you to learn and do better, you're gonna be a maid too. That's
Is
just
that also not a mindset though?
it's not a matter of a mindset. It's just a matter like it sounds like it's a mindset thing, you know, when you're born in America, and that's really that's what it is. That's how society is. But that's the reality for a lot of people outside of the United States. That's why so many people flock here, because it's like this is truly the land of like, yo, it's the land of opportunity. You know, if you can make it here, then you can make it. And you know, if you're willing to drive, if you're willing to have the drive, and you're willing to fully work and, you know, put your best self out every time you step out the door, then you can make it. But it doesn't mean that those people are not putting their best self out of the door. You know, when they step out the door in those other countries, it's just those opportunities is not necessarily there. Specifically, if you're not going to school. See, when you live here, like you can make $1 million and not have a college degree. You can make $300,000 and not have a college degree. Like outside of here, in a lot of other countries, like engineer, doctor, lawyer, those are the fields that pay. If you're not, or a politician or working for the government, but if you're not in those fields right there, you're not living well. That's just as simple as that. That like you're not living like entertainers. They're not getting paid top dollars like they get paid out here. Athletes, no, that's not the case. That's not the case.
A lot of the things that you said resonated with me, but before I get into me throwing some shit at you, throwing some shade on you, let's get in a shout out to all those people that don't get past a financial class and work hard as shit. Like sometimes on my day job, I would take people going back and forth. I'd take them to work in the morning before my shift was over. I see them again, and they go into their second job. They got another job on the weekends. They literally working 3 or 4 jobs to make ends meet. So shout out to them people that are like working hard as shit. Like people don't know. Like you said, that is a misconception. Like people think when you don't have a bunch of stuff, you're not working hard. No, you're not getting paid your worth. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just don't get paid your worth. But as far as working hard, nobody works as hard as a poor person that's trying to maintain. And I'll say it and I'll continue to say it. Those people work hard as hell. Shout out to them. It is seen, you know, you do your part, pat yourself on the back. Now, Ruben, when you were saying what you were saying about outside of the United States, and like Aaron said, that's a mindset. I'm going to say, if I'm using the word in this correct tense, socialism, that's what it sounds like. Like you were born just to do this. Like this is your social status right there. Your mom's a maid, you gonna make a good maid. You've been going back generations. This is what your family did. You're a blacksmith. Your family, you're a son of a blacksmith. You're gonna be a great blacksmith. Your father was a great blacksmith.
That's how societies have worked throughout generations for centuries, man. This isn't new. This is how it's been. That's why a lot of people from Europe flock to the new land, because this was the land of opportunity for a lot of people. It's like this was their way out of, you know, what the social norm was, like out of like the class that, because it might be 5 classes now, but the reality of it is 2 classes. It's the haves and the have not. That's really what it comes down to. It's either you have it or you don't. It sounds cool to say you got 5 classes and you got lower class, middle class, upper middle class, and things of that for on. It's either you're making money or you're not making money. And even in the case of, when I say making money, I mean like not just enough money to survive. It's either you have, you know, a good amount of money to where like you don't have to work as hard as to enjoy some of the things, some of the finer things in life, or you working as hard as you can and you still can't enjoy, you know, some of the finer things in life. And some of the finer things like don't necessarily got to be, you know, high luxury items. it could just be something as simple as being able to take a vacation with your family for more than a week. You know, it could be as simple as going enjoying a nice night out, you know, after a long week. But it's just a lot of times people don't get to do that because, you know, that's just not, it's not possible financially.
So if you look at it, like, all right, my dad had a carpet company. He taught me how to lay carpet, but I'm not, proceeding with laying carpet. But like if people have to do what their parents or their guardian before them did, and it was what got them through, then in order for that to change your class, then you have to go somewhere where it's supply and demand, because to change the economic status is work, skills, and savings. So if I'm a blacksmith and my dad was a blacksmith in this village, and we keep supplying this village with whatever we're doing for blacksmithing, and we're getting paid the same wages. No, you go somewhere where the supply and demand is. You go to a different village where they're going to pay you more for your skills, and you're going to work hard, but you're going to get more money for your skills, and you're going to be able to save that for your family and change what class you're in. It's okay. I guess it's okay to keep living the dream or living the lineage that your parents did, but at the same time, if you're not elevating yourself, then again, it's a mindset, because you're okay with staying in that village or staying in that area and proceeding to give out the goods and the work as hard as you were working to make the same money that you was making.
Okay,
I want you to really understand, as you're saying this, like it's not as simple as a mindset. Like it sounds like, okay, well, you know what, change your mindset, you can make it. And it is true. If you change your mindset, you can make it. But opportunity, you know, and a lot of places around the world, there's truly a lack of opportunity. Like it's not there. And in order for you to even have the opportunity, like you need to have an education. Like education is not something that's like a stronghold in this country. Like you don't require to have higher education in order for you to achieve a certain level of financial success. You know, like it's a lot, you know, that's also one of the reasons why some people can make a lot of money and lose it as quickly as they make it, because it's like you don't gotta be highly educated to make a lot of money. Whereas like in most parts of the world, like you gotta, you know, and throughout society, throughout, you know, centuries, it's always been the smarter people who had, you know, either that or you were born into nobility or royalty. Those were the people that had money. Or if you were an extremely good warrior, you know, and you knew how to fight really well, then you know you gain land and possessions that way. But it's not as simple as, yo, I'm going to change my mindset and I'm going to gain wealth, or I'm going to gain land, or I'm going to gain, you know, possessions. Because a lot of people can think it, but you need action behind that thought.
Okay, so two prevailing thoughts from different perspectives. I'll start with Ruben with just the fact, when you were a good warrior and you were good at killing people, you were usually just called in the service. The Romans started actually paying military men. You know, they started the whole process of, you can make a living being a military man. Before that, whoever was governing you, when something was, a conflict was coming, you were called. You were by law, dictation, loyalty, you had to fight. The Romans actually started paying you. That's why their army was so good. Like you could be in there 15 years and that was your profession. So it wasn't something that you were just called to do. So that's just the fact on that. For Aaron, I agree with what Ruben was saying, and he chimed in before I could. Yes, you could be a blacksmith, and yes, you could want to go make some money in other places. And yes, you could be better than that blacksmith in another place. But now you run into the problem of the loyalty, because it's been a generational family thing being passed down, and you're going to town. So they're going to roll, they're going to rock out with the guy that they know, as opposed to the guy that's coming in. And they're not going to pay more wages because they can get the stuff done right then and there. These are the problems we have in this country with people coming up with products and putting it out there. How can you market it? It's just like marketing, advertisement, convenience, the amount of money. You know, you start a business, sometimes you got to lowball your price just to get out there. Sometimes you don't, like, because you're just better than what your competition is, but you still got to advertise and get it out there. Um, Also, with other places, like they don't have the money, the wealth that we have to pay for certain services over here. And like Ruben said, a lot of people flock over here because one, they can change what is expected of them, and two, they can make money doing ridiculous things. I think you said one time in your one of the previous shows we had that you have families that live together and everybody, they all might be making 750 an hour, but they put their money together and go buy a house. That mentality is a mentality that they bring into this country from outside of this country, because outside of the country, they sit down there and families stay together. You know, we sit down there and we'll turn on the news and we look at COVID right now. The reason it's running rampant and killing like whole families outside of the United States is because grandma, grandpa, mom, dad, kids, they all live in the same house. That's how a lot of families live up because of the wealth. Like, you know, we take for granted a lot of stuff that we have. Buying a car in another country used to be a big thing. That was like buying a house in another country. You just saved up for years to get it. You just didn't go, I got like a G, I can go get a hoopty and keep it moving. You can't do that in other places. So, you know, it's just a whole nother way of thinking. I never even considered that when we came up, well, when Ruben came up with the topic, I was just thinking about the United States, how it affects the United States, but he's right. In these other places, everybody look the same. It ain't no racism. It's really like, what can you do? It's socialism. You can't even say it's really like classism because people stay in their classes
But
and they can't stay in them. You know what I mean? You were getting ready to chime in. Go ahead.
yeah, that's what I feel like. I mean, obviously I'm from the United States, like I'm not in other places, but like that's what I feel like it is in other places, like over here in the United States, because there's so many different races over here is racism, or they focus more on racism, and in other places, because everybody is the same, is more of a class type of situation. You know, you can't be racist because somebody is darker than you or lighter than you. Like that doesn't make sense. But like classism, I'm more wealthy than you are. But like Ruben was saying, like, I mean, I kind of don't agree with it where he said, I mean, I don't think it's 5 classes either. Like, I think they started making more classes because back when I was in school, I could have sworn it was only like 3 or 4 classes.
I
But
thought it was only 3 when I was in school.
yeah,
You know,
now it's 5. But they do that to cater to people's feelings and make people feel better about where they at.
Man, they could cater all they want, man. It's 2 classes. You either got money or you don't. All right, and
yeah,
rich or
I
poor.
agree with that.
But what's
Like
the definition of money though?
they even see if you've ever heard of somebody saying a marriage vow, they don't ever say to rich or poor or less poor or mid poor or middle class. They said rich or poor. All
Well,
right,
that's true.
it's rich or poor. It's 2 classes. Have or have nots. You know what I mean?
And now, when you go outside this country, because I'm thinking about a time when I was in the Dominican Republic, and I felt bad for the kid. The kid was coming past, you know, where I was staying, and he was selling bananas every morning. I don't even like bananas and shit, but I felt bad for the kid. So, you know, I kept on giving him $1 every day. You know what I mean, to get it. And then I would just throw the banana away later on the trash can in the room or something like that. But I remember this one guy said to me, "What? I don't even like him."
I
But
said,
what the,
no, I had a room full of bananas in Dominican Republic.
no. If I'm paying to stay somewhere, you better bring your ass in here to clean this can every day. I'm paying for this now. Come on now. Like, you know, they ain't the third world country that people think outside the United States. It's not like that. They know how to handle how to deal with their tourists. But I remember talking to a guy, and he said to me, he said, you know, his father was doing it, and his father was doing it, and they had this farm, and then, you know, they got some of the best. We already know they got some of the it wasn't even bananas, it was planters. That's what it was. He said they got some of the best planters on this side of the island and stuff. They family, everybody knows this because they've been doing it for years.
You
And
threw
then
away good plantains, bro.
Yeah,
yo,
well.
I was just
dog,
gonna say now when it was just regular bananas, but you out here throwing away good plantains, bro.
listen, when you diabetic, you can't even eat but this much of it any damn way. Just so you know,
You
spike
wasting
the
good
hell out of it.
plantains, man. That's
Well,
crazy.
I think I was
I'm
doing my
sorry about your
civic duty by
diabetes,
giving
but
a young
yeah,
man $1. He got $7 out me, dog. You know what
man,
that is in
that's a good look.
Dominican?
That's a lot.
You
That's a
know what
lot
I'm
of
saying?
pesos, man. I don't know if that's pesos, but you know, I'm just
They
saying
don't want no
pesos.
pesos over there. They want that dollar, yo. But
I'm saying pesos, but I don't think it's pesos.
it is pesos, but they
It's
don't want that
pesos.
peso. Yeah, it ain't pesos when you giving it to. They want that dollar. They don't even want to look at a peso. But needless to say, the person was saying it like it was embedded in him to be good at growing this stuff, and I should buy it. And just listening to your description about what's going on outside of this world, as far as like in economics, classism, socialism, racism. And now it makes sense. It didn't make sense why he said that, because I was just saying to myself, you saying the boy is just born to just sell this shit and this is all he gonna be? But that's the mindset in some places. And that was my point in bringing it up. Not that I was throwing away good plantains. I don't tell y'all nothing. See, that's why I don't
Nah,
like to tell y'all
it,
nothing.
it,
Like,
it
you don't
it's
know how to, y'all just go in, you're savages.
it's it's all good. I get it. I get what you're saying. You like to throw away good quality plantains, but you gave him $1 for it, and I dig that part. No, but you're right though. It's like if you don't get an education when outside of the U.S., like chances are you're not gonna amount to much. I guess it's as simple as that. And one of the things I had to try to explain to my father was because he still lives in Haiti and he's a judge. So education's always been something that's like, that's prevalent for him. Like my brother, he's a doctor. Well, he got his doctorate. So like he wanted me to follow that path. But what I tried to explain to him was in the United States, it's completely different. I don't mind going to school. I don't mind going to college. I wanted to go to college. But the way that they have things set up here is one, college is not the end all be all that it used to be. Two, if you're going to go to college and you're not getting one of those, top 5 degrees, engineering, doctor, lawyer, things of that nature, you're really, it's really a crapshoot as far as like what you're going to be able to make financially. Now,
Right.
you can
And
go
you
get
carrying the financial chains too.
exactly. So it's like if you don't have a game plan and a really good one and a modern game plan, you're setting yourself up, to fail behind, hard, as opposed to like, other places, where it's like you go to college, and I'm not saying that necessarily it's cheaper, but it's more of a you have a better chance of making it because the people that's gonna go there, they're not gonna go there to go to school for an art degree. Nothing wrong with getting an art degree, but realistically, you coming from outside of the U.S., you're not getting an art degree. Like that's why you got a lot of those people that come, a lot of people that's foreigners. They're your doctors, they're your lawyers. They're gonna go in those fields of engineering because they understand that's where the money is at. That's
Okay.
you got to use your brain. You're not gonna get a sports media degree, to go to university. That's just not gonna happen.
Okay.
You don't have the
So
means for that.
going with, and this is an interesting topic, and we're a little pressed for time now. Um, so do we blame anybody for this? Because I don't think it's just a blaming thing. It's just what it is, you know, in the United States and outside the United States. People just have to be aware that you can try to change your social structure, but if you can't, I mean, your economic structure, I'm sorry, if you can't, you just can't. It doesn't mean that you ain't putting the hard work in. It just means that maybe the chips didn't fall the way you do. Like you can always outwork people, but just outworking people doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to reap the rewards. So I don't think we're going to do a who's to blame to this, but I will say to everyone, thank you for joining us on Combustible Elements. I want to thank Ruben, the Monarch, Aaron, the Hitman, always here, always coming with the fire, giving me something to think about. Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate that. If you like what we're doing, if you like the content, please like, subscribe, share. If you got stuff on your mind, like we'll have you on. We love having guests. We love talking. We love finding out what's going on because knowledge is power and we want to hold all the keys. So I want to thank everybody for joining us. I look forward to talking to you again. Aaron, Ruben, thank you, gentlemen. Peace out. You have a good night.